Hey, everybody. Hopefully, everyone can hear me and see me, and I am functional from a streaming standpoint. I haven't been able to do a proper live since we moved in March because everything's been in flux here at the new house. You may remember from the last couple of lives, last probably dozen or so lives that I did. I was working in the basement of the house that we were renting, and it wasn't exactly ideal, but we made it work. And now we got the new house. We bought the house, and I've got an actual office, which is pretty exciting. And I'm finally at the point now where the office is semi-functional, and I can use it as a workspace and do stuff like this. So I wanted to jump on and say hi to people, and just kind of check in and let everyone know that this weekend I am headed out to MonstahXpo. Monstah, the New England pronunciation, the Boston pronunciation. And I'll be there. I have a booth where I'll be hawking my wares. And if you're going to be in the area, Nashua's where I'm from, so it's like my hometown, which is pretty cool. And it's about 45 minutes outside of Boston, depending upon traffic. And we're hoping for a nice turnout. So if you're in the area, stop by, say hi. Tickets are pretty cheap. It's only like $20, which is pretty sweet. So, hey, David, how's life down in Texas right now? I heard you guys are pretty damned. So, if you ever met me at a convention, I put the question up earlier on Facebook. Did you play the game with me? Where did we meet? That kind of thing. Because I used to do a ton of it, convention appearances. I would get booths and do panels and all that stuff. But then the kids came, and it became progressively harder and harder to travel, and it was tough to leave my wife with two kids under 5, which wasn't fair to her. So it kind of shifted efforts around, did push more online ads and did all that, and kind of shelved doing anything that was more than an hour or so drive away, and especially bigger appearances at bigger shows where I have to bring in cases of books and hopefully arrange a little team of assistants to help. But this is kind of the first big show that I've done in a long time. I did the Bangor, Maine Comic Con up near Tufo, and the bastard didn't come out and say hi, but that's okay. And that was a pretty big show. That had a few thousand people turn out for it, and I did pretty well. Not too bad. But with this being my hometown and being closer to Boston, I'm hoping that we'll get a nice showing. So, oh, you got hit with the hurricane, David. Yeah, I got buddies who live in the Houston area. A lot of them were at the bar that you went to. They've been out of power for days, and they're like trying to figure life out. But hope you guys are doing okay though. So if you've ever been to any of the conventions where I have like a staff to kind of support me, fans, volunteers, friends, family, whatever, I do a promotional giveaway, and it's basically to get people to stop at the booth, right? Because you go into a convention, there's aisles and aisles and aisles of people all trying to sell you shit. And if there's no reason for people to stop, they just walk by, unless you are exactly what they came looking for, or, you are the person that they came to see. You got to get them to stop, and I do this giveaway, and I do a game with it. And I do these cards, which you probably won't be able to see it, but turn sideways a little bit. But they're just postcards that I had printed up, and they have some art on it, some of my book covers, and then in the back I have a number. The number's washing out, but this one is number 120, and I hand number a whole bunch of cards for every show, and I have a list of winning numbers, and if you bring the card back to me, the card's a coupon for $1, yay. But if you tell me the number, then you might win something. Like, could be as little as bumper stickers or bookmarks, but there's a handful of people who can just win a book on the spot, right? But if you lose, you don't bring a winning number, I have you play a dice game with me, and you get to roll dice, and if you roll well, you get bigger discounts on stuff, or you get a bookmark or a sticker, or on a really good roll, you get a free book. And I got new cards printed up. These are new. The old ones are, they had some of my older older covers, like the old AUD cover was on there, and the phone wasn't on there, and Elmore was like the Kinless books were kind of front and center on those, and those were like my least popular books, so it just made sense to kind of come up with new ones. Plus, my old ones are all kind of mangled from the move; they didn't survive. But yeah, anyway, if you come to the show, make sure you grab some cards and come say hi. And, it'll be really fun. Drove 3 hours each way, never gotten a card. Some of which I didn't have them at the bar. So yeah, that's when I'm at a booth and I've got like the full hawking setup and stuff like that. The challenge coins are awesome. That's actually a prize that you can win. That's I think I'm a giveaway for every 10 winners. At least one of them is a challenge coin now, which is probably the most expensive thing I can give away. Like it costs me more to get a challenge coin than it does to get a book. And I'd rather give you a book because like Austin, yeah. In the comic stores, I don't do them because it's like contests in someone else's store is weird. Stepping on toes and stuff. But where I was going with that. Yeah, other updates. So AUD 15. I'm getting a lot of messages about it, and that's fair because it's way behind schedule. As I said before, the move has been savagely disruptive to my work schedule, and we just had like a string of time-consuming, repairs to the house that just kind of ate into all of my spare time. Time that I would normally sneak out and write for another hour. Lately, it's been it has to come to the house. We bought a very old house built in 1797, and it's beautiful. It's an awesome home. It's got tons of character, which is a positive way to say it needs a shitload of updates. And we're doing them, and they're great, and it's fun, and I like doing the work, but it's very time consuming. I had to rip out the central stairwell a few weeks ago and completely rebuild the whole thing, which was like a multi-day project, and it was just me doing it. So we had all the floors redone, and almost the entire house. Only a couple of floors didn't get done. The upstairs living room, we have a living room, like a family room on the second floor. That room didn't get done because it's like 17 or 700 square feet. It's like a gigantic room, and like we just couldn't afford it. And like the bathrooms didn't get done, but we had the rest of the house done. And it's all old school wide pine, and it's really pretty, but like crazy disruptive to have your entire house floor redone because we moved in and then had to move everything back out because the floor guys came 2 weeks late. So we moved in, lived here for 2 weeks, moved everything out for them to do the floors, and then we had to live in like 2 rooms for 10 days while they redid the entire house, and we had to let the stuff sit, poly, and then we moved everything back in, and then we got to like unpack, and that was like a month. So lots and lots and lots of delays. Not making excuses, just telling you why. And I'm buckling down now. Writing is going really well. I got stuck on a side fiction that got rewritten, I think, like 3 or 4 times. And it's a pivotal one to the story, and it was crucial for how I wanted book 15 to end. I know. And my first take on it, I didn't care for. My second take on it, after I made some adjustments, was better, but still not quite right. And then I think it was like the 3rd or 4th iteration of how the story flowed was it. And I was like, all right, this is the way. This is what we're going to do. And that took a lot of research because there was some stuff that went down that like timelines on how things work and how long it takes for X to happen if you do Y. And I spent like 3 or 4 days just researching basically like what came out to be about 3 paragraphs of that story, which is writing, like you got to try and get it as right as possible. But anyway, that story's done. I'm on to the other stuff, and I've got another side fiction that's already written that's about 10,000 words in the can, which is like 10-12% of the book that I'm not even counting. So we're getting much closer to the finish on that. I don't have a firm date because, again, sometimes I hit a wall like I did with this last side fiction, and it takes me 3 weeks to write what usually takes me 3 days. And that's just like the process. So, yeah, AUD 15 definitely this year. I'm hoping I'll have it done by the end of the month writing wise, and then, it goes into editing and post and cover art and all that stuff. So like optimistically September, something like that, which would be great because September's a good month to release a book. After that, I've got, I was talking that I have like I'm helping to co-write under a pen name, some like romancy stuff, which is still in process. That kind of got shelved for the move and all that stuff, and that's fine because it's not a priority. But that's like 90% done, so like that doesn't actually require a whole lot of work on my end, which would be great to get out to see if that is something that I'm good at with my writing partner. That shouldn't delay anything at all. And then I signed up to join a shared world with a bunch of other apocalyptic writers. I haven't talked about this a whole lot, so this is, kind of me, revealing it. But all of these other writers all kind of agreed to write a novel or a series in a shared world with a shared storyline and common events. That is without giving too much away, but it's like a mass coronal ejection kind of thing, a solar flare that torches, all electronics and reduces humanity to the Stone Age. And we've got some interesting twists on it to make it a little bit, kind of unique. Hi, Shelley. And as time goes on, we'll, try and cross over where you'll have characters from, some books written by some authors showing up in others. It'll be full novels, and then we also want to, kind of launch the whole universe with an anthology of short stories, so people can get the anthology and see what books or what writers in the shared universe kind of tickle their fancy. But I'm aiming to have that book done sometime around Thanksgiving, Christmas. Not a huge book, probably 70 to 80,000 words. And after that, I got one more Diggory to do. I'm gonna cap that series at 4, and then it's probably going to be one more AUD after 15, which would be kind of nice because that means like the first set of AUD books was 8, and then the Adrian's March second set will also be 8. Which is just kind of a nice little symmetry, but we'll see. More Lockie, Lockie. We had Lockie on lockdown, and we had this like really great plan, and then both Carl and I's life got derailed at the beginning of the year. We put out the omnibus, the first 3 books of Lockie on Audible, and it did great. It's like selling quite well and getting great reviews, which is exactly what we wanted. And we wanted to follow that up with releasing book 4, which is written and edited and ready to go. And the cost of narration, Danielle, is fantastic a narrator as she is. She's very expensive, and she's in demand for a ton of genres. So booking time with her is a challenge, and she can command top dollar, and we want her for the rest of the series. So we're going to find a way to afford her. So we said, all right, well, let's do a Kickstarter, right? And anybody who wants to get the audiobook, you can just buy it directly from us on the Kickstarter, and we'll just send you the MP4 file instead of having to get it through Audible, right? Easy, right? $20, whatever. And if you support it, we'll send you stickers and whatever. And then if you want the books, you can do that as well. Kind of a low investment Kickstarter to raise $5-6 grand to pay for the narration. Everything else I've already eaten the cost on. But the narration is a lot of money. But then I started to have to pack for the move, and then the move, and then the unpacking and the repacking and all the work. And while that was going on, Carl kind of carried the torch and was doing a bunch of work on the Kickstarter, getting the pages all prettied up and all the the stuff written for it. And then he wound up getting a new job for his day job, and he works in tech. And it's not a lateral move. He's not moving over to a similar company for a similar job. He's getting like a pretty big promotion. So like he's really got to put the effort into that. So he stopped working on the Kickstarter. But all that being said, book 4 is written and edited and ready to go. We just need to figure out a way to fund the audio. And then book 5 is written, but not edited. And book 6 is written, but not edited. And once the smoke clears, it doesn't take me long to edit those books. Carl has gone over them with a fine tooth comb multiple times, and he's really good at continuity. Like he doesn't make mistakes about where someone sets something down. So that element of editing his stuff is really easy. It's basically just kind of like character stuff and making sure that people are congruent with how they've been in other books, and make sure names make sense, and descriptions and stuff like, hey, the way this reads, it kind of sounds like he's trying to do this, but I think what you really want to do is kind of do that. And you can look at those wording, stuff like that for the editing. I think I edited book 4 in like a week. Like it really isn't a big process. But anyway, so there will be more Locky. Hopefully we can get that Kickstarter up and running in the next couple months. Carl's going to lead the way on that and do most of the work of like managing the actual project while it runs. And then he also said he would handle the vast majority of fulfillment, which would be great because that means I don't have to worry about packaging for a week and buying boxes and packing materials. But it is what it is. Jeff, thank you. Diggory is a sleeper. I love the Diggory series. It's a lot of fun to write. He's such an interesting, fucked up character, and like funny, and like is really trying, but like doesn't really know what the fuck he's doing, and winds up making some things better and some things worse. Then I think 4 books really wraps that series well. The town of Twin Falls is such a fun setting for like weird stuff too, and the Diggory universe is just ripe with other stories I could tell. So when I wrap Diggory, for if there's demand down the line after the fact to keep writing more Diggory books or other books set in the Twin Falls universe, we'll tackle that. You're welcome, Shelley. We are doing very well here. Thank you. It's just a lot. It's just busy stuff. Oh, I forgot. I was going to mention this. My mother-in-law, Barbara, if you're watching or you see this at a later date, I love you. You're an amazing mother-in-law. I'm grateful for you. She got me for Father's Day this cool-ass little invention, and I'm going to start using it at conventions and for the books that I sign. So if you look, it's this little metal doodad, and no, it's not a stapler. It comes apart, and it goes together like, I don't even know how this thing goes together, but it locks together and it stamps books. So like chunk, right? And what it does is, it came with a few hundred of these, but it stamps a little embossed, the glare is going to be awful on this, but it's got the little Tesser dragon in the middle of it, and it says, "From the library of Chris Philbrook." And I figure that's a really cool way that I can, show people that they got something directly from me, and it makes it a little bit more personalized, and it's super easy to do. So I'm going to start doing that. So if you get a book from me from now on directly, I'm going to stamp at least the interior page of it, like the one that I signed, so it's an authentic signature. They just think a cool thing, kind of neat. And then after Diggory, I still want to return to the world of Colony Lost. I have, another book, a third written in that. And I also have to kind of come up with what comes after Adrian, which I talked about. Because, Adrian's got one more book, like I said, after 15, maybe 2 more, but I really doubt that. And that's going to be the end of Adrian's march. That's going to complete that cycle. And I don't have anything I want to write after that for Adrian. There's nothing compelling about what could come next that's really exciting me. And I'll probably have to park the universe for a while to recharge the tanks to see if there's more Adrian in me. But anyway, I got to come up with what to write. I got that shared universe thing going on, which could be great, could be very successful. And Colony Lost may take off the sequel to that, Colony of Lies. I think I have the title worked out. And I just don't know. I got some ideas. I'm not in love with any of them enough to be yep, that's what I'm doing. So just kind of winging it. What else? What else is new? What else is new? TV stuff. The last time we were talking about this, I filled everyone in that we were a day away from a TV show for AUD, and it fell through because Warner Brothers merged and HBO merged with Discovery, and they stopped the greenlighting all series. And we were in the meeting with the head of TV for them, and they wound up saying, "Hey, we can't greenlight it." And then everybody who was attached to the Adrian's show had to leave because they had to go get work. So that kind of died. But I did get another hard rights inquiry last week, I think, from a pretty reputable place, which doesn't mean anything. Like, I've had probably 20 rights inquiries, but this was from it was a serious inquiry through a serious person that has been instrumental in getting where we got before. And he's not the kind of person that just like frivolously says, people are interested. If he says someone's interested, he's actually got someone who's, done more legwork than just saying, "What's that about?" So we'll see. Nothing. I don't even know who it is. I just know that a serious producer asked about it. So that's where we're at for TV stuff. Kind of dead in the water, but there are sharks around, hoping to bite the meat. That's about it. I'm gonna head out here in 5-10 minutes, but in that time, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to field them. Got some emails here to look at. Nothing fancy there. After Adrian's March, do Adrian's April. Maybe. I don't know. Some people have asked me to write stuff like tertiary stories in Adrian's world, like other people surviving at the same time as him. And I just don't know if there's enough story there for me to get excited about. Like, I don't know what group surviving in his apocalypse would be like exciting enough for me to, dedicate a trilogy to. Even the fact that I've already said that there are, quote unquote, 9 important people in the story, makes the stakes for any other story feel kind of, non-existent, other than the idea of the torchbearers, which is something that, Carl kind of introduced through Loki that already fit in with the universe. And that's something that I made canon through Loki, and then through 13 and on, he talks about the idea of torchbearers, that there are little mini trinities, mentees, as she calls them, that are they're tasked with more local projects. I guess it's possible that I could find a torchbearer idea that would get me interested in writing that, but I don't have anything burning a hole in my imagination that I'm like dying to do right now. But we shall see. Megan, hey stranger. All is good. I just talked about Loki. The Kickstarter got stalled out because I moved and Carl got a new job. But book 4 is written and edited. Book 5 and 6 are both written but not edited. And we're just trying to figure out like how to raise the funds to pay for narration, because Danielle's really expensive. Like really expensive. To the tune of like almost $3,000 in narration per book. And while I could just pay for that, that would be a exorbitant amount of money out of my like ability to fund other projects and like pay for marketing and stuff. So if we could do a Kickstarter to kind of offset that, that would be really good. I think my wife would like it if I didn't part with 10 grand. I've only been going like 15 minutes, so you're not too late to the party. This always happens when I do lives. People jump in and like, "Hey, did you talk about this yet?" And inevitably, I half the time I have. So dice stuff. Some of you have bought dice for me through my Tier 1 Games dice company. Carl, I saw Carl's name go by. I owe him a set of dice right now. Because of the move, because of rebuilding stuff, and because of just the way this house is laid out, I have not set my dice making stuff up. Originally, when I lived in the house back in Marlow, I was right off the garage of my office, and I could do all of my crafting kind of stuff right in my office. And then, it wasn't part of the house. I didn't have to worry about noise or chemicals or fumes or anything. It was all kind of sectioned away. And then in Hollis, I was able to do it in the basement, again, away from everybody, no fumes, plenty of space. In here, however, this house, the layout is not so friendly. My office right here is directly below my daughter's bedroom, and I don't really want to be mixing, resin and chemicals and stuff here because the fumes aren't that healthy for you. And when I run the compressor to compress the dice to make them flawless, if you will, compressor's kind of loud, and I can't do it during the night because the compressor will wake her up. And then my wife's office is right over here, right next to me. And, she's a therapist and does a lot of telehealth counseling for people. And I can't run the compressor while she's doing clients. And I have to time when I make the dice and when they go in the pressure pot, and I can run the compressor. So if they sit for too long while the resin is poured and they're like setting up, then putting them in the compressor, it's too late. So it's really tough for me to time it. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't set anything up. So I could set up a dice making shop in the garage, which is probably what I'm going to wind up doing, because there's like a little workshop off the garage area, but it's not heated. And in order for the resin to set, it has to be like 70-ish degrees, which means during the winter, it'll be really hard for me to make stuff out there and then bring it inside to keep it warm to make it set. Because you can't even mix it in a cold area because it just doesn't, the coldness stops the reaction to harden it. So if you bought dice from me, or if you wanted to buy dice from me, that has been kind of parked for a while because the space is just, kind of difficult to make it work. And whatever spare time I have has been going into working on the house and trying to catch up on writing. Still want to make dice, still love making them. It's a great hobby, but it's just been time has been tough since we moved. What else? Haven't watched a ton of movies. My wife and I have been catching up on 6 Feet Under. I never finished the series when it was on HBO years ago, so we've been going back and watching that. And we just took a break to watch Sweet Tooth on Netflix, which was fun. We watched the 4th and final season. And it was a good ending, but it was kind of an off season for reasons. And we just started watching the 3rd season of The Bear, which we both really like. So that's what we're watching right now. I did watch Return of the Living Dead on July 3rd because it's Return of the Living Dead Day. And that was nice. I haven't watched that movie in years. That was one of the only zombie movies that genuinely freaked me out because you couldn't kill them, right? Like, the agreed upon rule is you shoot him in the head, you destroy the brain, and the zombie goes down. But in Return of the Living Dead, they didn't. They just kept coming at you, and they were quasi runners before runners was a thing in the Dawn of the Dead remake. So yeah, that movie freaked the shit out of me when I was a kid. But yeah, that's like one of the last movies I watched. Again, we don't have a lot of time for TV, so haven't really read much of anything. I read a couple of science fiction books that one of my neighbors lent me, which was really good. Gaming stuff. I've been reading some gaming stuff, which has been fun. I have a couple of games going on. I was playing in a regular Starfinder campaign from Paizo that my neighbor buddy Michael was running. We got about probably 10 sessions into it, and then 2 of our players moved away, and we haven't been able to get it together, which is tough. And then I play in a regular online Tuesday game, which is just 5th edition D&D in the Forgotten Realms. But it's just a really fun campaign. We get a group of experienced players, and everyone's easy, and nobody's a rule lawyer, and the DM's flexible, so it's a lot of fun. And I was playing in a semi-monthly Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign, but we haven't been able to get together in a really long time. It became like once every 3 months or once every 4 months, And we're actually getting together in a couple weeks, which is pretty awesome, unless somebody cancels, which would suck balls. But hey, it is what it is. It's being an adult with kids and being self-employed, where you work at all hours of the day and night whenever you can, which I like. Oh, comic stuff. As I look over and see my copies of Bad Wabbit here. So many of you picked up the Bad Wabbit comics that I edited for Anthony Castro of Dead Man Walking Comics. And, I jumped in to kind of help him because he was a big supporter of mine, and he wanted to do a comic, and he had a fun idea, and it's just a good dude. And, I like working with comics. I've always wanted to work in the comic industry. So he kickstarted the first one. It was a success. He shipped all of them out. I figured how many people backed it, but it was a good amount. And then he kickstarted the second issue, which again was a success. And he got all those out. And I got all my copies of book 2 here, which is fun. And we just finished writing and editing. He just finished writing. I've just finished editing 3, and he just put the Kickstarter project up for that. So now there's 3 issues of that series that are 2 are out and the third one's coming. So if you're looking for the comics that I've worked on, those are available for sure. 1 and 2, you can get those through him, just Dead Man Walking Comics or Anthony Castro. You can just track them down. And Jason DeBee, who's an artist that lives not too far from me, that I actually met at a convention over in Keene, New Hampshire. He's a much more of a gamer artist. He does a lot of work for like the Dungeon Run podcast, and he did a lot of stuff with Critical Role back when they were just kind of like coming up. But he and I have been partnered on a comic for years, and I wrote the like, I think we were only going to do like an ash can, which is like a 6-page comic, and that got shelved because there was more story to that. And then we said like, oh, hey, maybe we'll develop this into like a role-playing setting instead of a comic, and we'll just use this art for the book. And then that very quickly grew out of hand. It became like way too much of a project for both of us. But we parked it, and then a few months later, he said, "Hey, let's do a comic." So we recircled the wagon, and it was like, no, let's do a graphic novel. So I rewrote the 6-page script into a 20-page script, and then rewrote the 20-page script into, I think we're sitting at like a 40-page script now. And he finally has freed up the time to get back on working on that comic, which is really cool because it's a really cool story, and he's such a good artist. But the comic that he and I have is Rock Jockeys, which is a sort of a steampunk fantasy, Indiana Jones mixed with the Lord of the Rings kind of a thing, where in this world, I think the world's called Ularo, the clouds hardened and suspended in the sky, and they figured out that stone, they call it Sky Stone, it's filled with all different kinds of energy, and they use that stone to do stuff. And one of the things that they figured out is they can turn it into fuel that allows them to fly. So you have these people called rock jockeys who wear like backpacks filled with this stuff, and they hit a button and they zoom off into the sky. So it's kind of like a Rocketeer sort of storyline. Hey Nick, it's good to see your name too. But he and I have been working on that, and now he's up to page 5, which is fantastic because we were stuck at page like 1 and 2 for like a year, and he's done 3 pages in the last couple of weeks because his work schedule has changed. He's been more motivated to do it. So, just 35 more to go, and that'll be done. So he says that he's very optimistic that he can hopefully get us there by the end of the year. But we'll see what happens. Stuff happens, and it'd just be great to get it out because it's a really cool story, and he's such a gorgeous artist. And the other comic that we had going on was Jason Casey, which is another artist buddy of mine from this area. He wanted to do a comic really bad, and he wanted to partner with me as a writer, and he and I came up with a really great like superhero story and superhero setting, and we wrote the script. I think I wrote the first 2 scripts for the first 2 issues, And very quickly he found out that he couldn't draw comics, which is called sequential art, where you draw the next picture, the next picture, the next picture, the next picture, right? As opposed to just like doing a cover, right? One image. He's really, really good at the one image, but having to stagger it out, even with the instructions from writing, it's a real challenge for him. And this is a common problem with a lot of artists, where they really want to do comics, but then when they try to do sequential art, it very clearly it throws them for a loop. And then it's vice versa. There's lots of guys who are fantastic at sequential art, but struggle to do that like marquee cover image because it's too detailed or too fancy or whatever. But he and I formed Latchkey Comics, an LLC to publish comics, and then he moved away. And the artist that we brought on to work with us on the book, Jason, was going to do colors and lettering, and this other guy was going to do the sequential art. He wound up not doing it. He just like missed all of his deadlines, and finally it was like, hey buddy, we're supposed to be up to like page 6 in hand right now, and we don't have page 1 yet. So are you going to do this or not? Because if you're not going to do it, just say you're not going to do it. We'll find someone else, but don't keep telling us you're going to do it, because we're trying to do something here. And he said, yeah, I can't do it. So that left us in the lurch. And then I found another artist who wanted to do it, and then he no-showed. So that whole process is Latchkey Comics is currently shelved because Jason just moved again, and he's trying to get that sorted out. He doesn't really have any time to put into it, and I don't really have the time to put into it. So that's that for that. So yeah, Bad Rabbit's out 1 and 2, and then 3 will be out soon. And then hopefully we'll have something to show for Rock Jockeys pretty soon. Jason just posted the first 5 pages. They're not colored; they're just black and white right now, and they don't have all the lettering and stuff on it. But you can see the line art, and it's just so pretty. So it's hard to find good help these days. The business of publishing requires quite a few different sets of expertise. And as a small business owner, having to manage all of these different skill sets to produce something, it is very difficult to find quality help. Well, let me rephrase that. Finding a quality person to do the job is not hard, but finding a quality person who has the time and the work ethic to do what they can do on the timeline that they say they can do it is really hard. Like I've gotten commitments from so many different talented people to do things for me, and it's like, all right, great, I'm going to work with this person. It's awesome, and they said they could do it in 2 weeks, and it'll be great. And then the 2 weeks comes, and then something changed with them, and they can't do it anymore, and then you're finding someone else. It's really tough, and it routinely messes with my deadlines. Where like cover art can't happen, or my formatting issues. I used to use my buddy Alan for formatting, but he has become increasingly difficult to basically pin down. So I learned how to do my own formatting. And while I now have the ability to do that and I don't have to wait on anybody, it does mean that I now have to do that. So when previously I would type the end and then send the file off to editing, and it would be editing, and then it'd go to formatting, and that'd be the end of it. Now I have to sit there, send it off to editing. It comes back, go through the edits, send it back to the editor. The editor says, all right, everything's good. Then it comes back to me. Then I have to format it. And then it has to go back to editing for them to make sure that I didn't fuck up anything formatting it. So it's way more steps involved. That being said, I'm reliable when it comes to that stuff. And I know that, if there's a delay, it's my life. I'm not like getting frustrated with a stranger or a friend or, an associate. But yes, it's really tough, especially with artists, like visual artists. I'm technically an artist because I'm a writer too, but like interfacing with people who are doing like promotional artwork for you or graphics or covers is tough because they you know, they march to the beat of their own drum. Not that I don't, like if I'm not motivated to write something, it takes me forever to write it. And I get it. If I'm having someone do a cover for me and they're not fucking jazzed about it, yeah, it's probably going to take longer. But sometimes they just don't do it. And that's tough. Like when a narrator, for example, ghosts your series with no warning. Not that that's happened to me on 2 series now by the same guy. So anyway, these things happen. I want to delete that. Oh, come on. One thing about the convention this week, I have a moderate supply of books on hand. Not a ton, just kind of what I normally keep around. And I will almost certainly sell out Saturday morning. Like I'll be out of everything by lunchtime on Saturday, which is a good problem. But then I won't have anything for the rest of Saturday or Sunday. Thank you, Anthony. Normally I pomade it so it's more kind of slicked back like this, But right, and I just got out of the shower and this thing's just kind of doing whatever it wants to do. Anyway, I have an order of books that's en route, and it might get here on Friday, in which case Saturday morning I'll have a full stock for the whole weekend. But it also might get here Saturday. And if it shows up Saturday while I'm at the show, I'm going to have to ask my wife or a friend to drive to the house and throw the boxes in the back of their car and bring them in, which would be awkward. At either rate, I will have a full inventory by Sunday. So, but that's a problem that I didn't really feel like dealing with. But Anthony, I was just talking shit about Bad Wabbit right on time. I summoned you out of the depths of Montana. I was just telling everybody that 1 and 2 are out and available, and they can get them from you or Amazon, actually. And 3 is on Kickstarter, and will be launching soon. So, Nick, it's good to keep a positive can-do attitude. Yes. Signed copy of book 1. Yeah, I actually just got a message from someone else. They wanted to buy a copy of book 1, but again, I don't have a lot of books on hand right now. So I asked them to wait until next week. So whatever I have left over after the show, I can sell online. But yeah, happy to. I also want to stock the hardcovers that I did, the Kickstarter I did last year, because the books are gorgeous. They're so pretty, but they're expensive. The regular paperbacks are, the retail on those is $13 for the small ones. So the wholesale cost from the printer is half that, right? The hardcovers are $25. So half that is, 13 or 14. So for me to buy a complete set of paperbacks versus a complete set of hardcovers and then inventory it, it's a lot more money. But I want to, so fuck it. Eat ramen for a week or 2. Yes, you still have quite a few books. Yes. If I thought you could mail them to me and get them to me by Saturday morning, I would say mail them back, but it would probably have to be priority, which would cost $200 to get it here. So it's not worth it. Hold on to them. We'll set up something out in Montana. That would be a fun thing to do. I think I got 5 or 6 fans out in Montana, which would be a fun thing. Hopefully they could come out and visit. Hey, Robbie. I am well. As I drink my coffee at 9:40. I don't know what it's like in your neck of the woods, but it has been hot as balls here. And again, I live in New England, right on the border with Mass and New Hampshire. And once it gets over 85 up here, it gets tough because we have the humidity. And the South claims to have the corner on humidity, but we have the same humidity. And granted, it gets a whole lot hotter down there. It's 100 and something in Texas and Louisiana and the Gulf right now, and Up here, it's like 91, 92, 93. But we are just not built for the heat. We are not built for the heat. We like our blizzards. And houses don't have air conditioning up here like they do down there. So when it gets this hot for this long and it's this humid, it gets tough. And for us here specifically, we got this old house and there's no central air. And the heat is boiler. So it's all baseboard water. And we can't put in central air because the cost to run ducting through a house like this would be, crazy. So we, we've been dealing with window units, which, we've got the first floor unair conditioned, which is where I'm at right now. And right now it's like 75, 80 in this room, which for me is sweltering. Like I'm used to like 65 degrees. That's what I like. And the upstairs is pretty comfy. We get the 3 air conditioners going in the bedrooms and in the living room, and it's comfortable. But yeah, once it gets up to over 90, and we get the humidity, our state just doesn't function. Our region doesn't function. Robbie, you're on book 11. You have a question on the audible change in 12. Was there any reason for the change? I'm assuming you're talking about James no longer narrating the series. I've talked about this before, and I want to be deliberate in my choice of words. But during the process of him working on the series, he didn't do the recording for that book on time. And when I reached out to him on the deadline, like, hey, how are we doing on the book? He just hadn't done it. And furthermore, when I tried to see what the hell was going on, he just stopped responding to my messages and still hasn't responded to any of my messages in the years since. Not one, not a single message. But he's still on social media. He's still posting. He's still talking to people. He's still recording books. And he just refuses to acknowledge anything about the whole series. So, on release day, I found out that he hadn't done the recording, and was like, it takes weeks to cast, never mind record and then edit. And we basically were like, all right, I gotta start getting auditions, and we went through the whole process, and, I got over 100 auditions on the first couple days. And I went through all of them and picked, 16 or something. And then I formed a Facebook group of, 20 odd hardcore Audible fans of the series, people that, had been following me for years, that, knew the series inside and out. And I put, the auditions up for them to listen to. And I said, all right, everybody, listen to all of them and then pick, 4 that you like off that list, your best 4. And then after everyone listened and voted for their 4, I found the 4 that had the most votes. And then I told everyone else, thank you. And I had those 4 people do a second interview or second audition. And then we had everybody listen to those and vote on those. And it came down to DJ. And DJ was he had 60% of the votes in the final 2. And the people who didn't vote for him out of the final 2, he was their second choice. So he was very clearly the best of them for, what they thought would fit for the series. So he got the job. And it's tough because, DJ is not James, and any mid-series narration switch is not good. No matter how good the second person is, it's very jarring. But the reality of it is I need somebody to narrate the books, and he was the best guy for the job at the time. And yeah, it just kind of is what it is. And again, there's probably 2 more AUD books, and then, we'll see what happens after that. So I appreciate everybody's support who stuck with the change. It's been financially tough because there was a pretty significant drop off. People who just didn't like the narrator change, and then, got pissed and said, I'm not listening anymore. I get that. But at the same time, you like the story, right? Like you could stick with it for that. Why didn't I narrate it? I have no studio. The studios that you need to record them in are pretty specific and expensive. They're like $2,000 or $3,000 to soundproof an area. Plus the microphone you need to buy is crazy, and I'm just not good at it. I've been in the studio. I've recorded for book 8, has my thank you to everybody on it. And the 15-20 minutes I was in the studio sucked because you hear everything. The microphone hears everything. So you hear like your bodily functions, you hear digestion, you hear saliva, you hear all these mouth noises you make that you don't realize you make on a regular basis. And you have to teach yourself to not do that. Otherwise, it has to be edited out. And if you can't teach yourself to not do it and you have to pay someone to edit it out, you're paying a fortune to have it edited. And at that point, I'm just going to pay someone to record it. And also, I just don't like my voice. And I tended to read things the way I want it to be read rather than the way I wrote it. So I have a really hard time following what I wrote. I like want to change it and make it better. So it just wasn't really an option. I have read stuff during lives and on Facebook videos before where, or YouTube videos where I'll have like a short story and I'll just read it. And that's fine because I'm not trying to sell it like that. I'm just trying to like share it with people. And if I fuck up, it's no big deal. But we'll see. I thought Adrian earned his right to be happy. Yeah. I mean, he did earn his right to be happy. But shit still happens. So yeah, book 15 is going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool stuff that goes down following the events of 13 and 14. And there are some plot twists involved, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's why the narrator change happened. So, and at this point, people have asked, like, if James came back, would you re-record it? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. Like, I would be very nervous to work with him on anything, because he backed out of the Reemergence series after the first 2 books because he didn't want to do book 3 because he said there was too many accents in it, and then didn't want to return for book 4 after we had a new narrator come in for 3. So it was like, he ghosted me essentially on that series, and I was committed to him through the remainder of AUD, and he was too, and then he just ghosted it. And he claimed I didn't send him the script, which was like, dude, like, you have it, and if you don't have it, you can ask for it. Like, you just don't not do it. It's just wildly unprofessional. But whatever. I don't want to disparage him any more than I already do. I'm sure he had his reasons, and I hope he's doing well. But yeah, that's where we're at. It takes a long time to record those books, and I don't have a quiet enough household, even though like my kids are at school. Like, I think, it would be hard. Plus, I like working with professionals, people who have acting talent and voice talent, and it's fun to hear them interpret the stories and like put their own twist on it and let them breathe life into the characters and interpret them, and see what they do with it, right? Joe Hempel is doing the Diggory series, and Joe's a great narrator, and he does a lot of big books. Like, he works with a lot of significant horror authors, especially, and having him as the voice of Diggory is just like a treat because he's super easy to work with, and he's super nice, and like really gets it and gives good feedback and asks good questions, and I like his voice and his acting, and I feel very fortunate that I was able to get him to sign on for the series. And in the future, if I do other series, it would be hard for me not to think of him first because I have such a good relationship with him after 3 books. And DJ's great too. Like, I love DJ. Hey, Aaron. Hey, Jill and Kaylin. It's a very confusing message, my friend. You're saying hi to other people on my chat. It's weird. It's just weird shit, Aaron. Robbie, if you ever write a book, I would love a copy. I would love a copy. So many people have sent me stuff like that. It's always awesome. It's just really, I have a box right over here right now that I was actually repackaging. It's got books that people wrote that I was in some way inspiring for, and they sent me a copy. I got Javon Bond's book over there. I got the Redneck book, Good Old Boys. Sasquatch book. That's a really fun one. We got Richard Rose. White Song. Anyway. What's that? I'm doing a live right now. Do you want to come on camera?
No.
No?
You put on the red light for it?
I was just looking for appropriate lighting. Ooh, food. Food. My wife brought me food. I'm excited. Oh, more food. Jesus. What?
This is the best beer I think I've ever had.
The best beer you've ever had? Where did you go?
I don't know. No way. Just.
Well, you brought me beer and food?
No,
And
okay.
it's live on camera. You're hitting such a home run right now.
Wait, don't drink it.
Don't
Until you
drink
put
it.
it in a cup.
Don't drink it till I put it in a cup.
You can see it.
Key Lime Pie Sour by Spyglass Brewing Company. It's got a little pie symbol on it. Can you see that pie symbol? It's dragging out. It says I have to put it in a glass. Wild-Eyed Southern Boys, yes, by Richard Rose, which is a super fun book. If you haven't read it or listened to it, definitely check it out. It's such a good book. Hey, Chris Barnes, long time no stream. Yeah, I was talking about that. Robbie making 2, a fantasy and one based in a zombie apocalypse. I opened it, but I'm not drinking it.
No, I was going to yell at you.
That's her hand, everybody.
Just spilled it all over it.
Oh, that's my rug. Don't spill beer on my rug.
Isn't that crazy? Just like,
Fucking with my light. Everyone's gonna see how sweaty I am now.
look at that.
Is that like actual fruit? It looks like peach. It smells good.
Just it's fucking bananas, right?
No, it's lime.
Like, why does it taste like graham cracker?
Really good.
Did you read what kind it is?
Yeah, key lime pie. It's delicious. So now I have a beer, everybody. Trying to follow 2 groups like I did, but having difficulty following it. Yeah, I mean, when you're writing, all those moving parts make things more complex, especially when you split the party. And like you could break it down and just write one story and then write the second story and then, shuffle it together or find a way to mix them. One of the reasons why AUD went the way it went and it got kind of condensed, I think, French fries. Because I just had too many characters. Just too many characters. And it was really hard to write anything because I had to mention 14 names in every scene because it's like, well, blah, blah wouldn't do this unless he talked to blah, blah. Did anyone talk to Ollie yet? So it became laborious to write even basic scenes. So it's like, all right, you know what? Let's get moving. Let's get on the road. Let's cut it down to 10 people. These fries are delicious.
Right? Truffle fries. This beer cheese.
Beer cheese.
And there's also mustard. And then the nachos are underneath. Of soy chorizo, beer cheese, regular cheese, pickled jalapenos.
Really good. I'm gonna wrap up soon. Thank you for bringing gifts.
I brought them off too.
Oh, you brought them off. Oh, you made a bonsai tree. That looks awesome.
What should we call it?
What should she call the bonsai tree she made?
just put your hand in the back of it.
It's nice. We could be corny and call it Bonnie.
No.
Bonnie the bonsai. Right? Just like have our kids call everything like it's Hammy the hamster. And Tree the tree. My mom did that. She had 2 hamsters, a black one and a brown one. Anyone want to know what their names were? Blackie and Brownie.
Who's on the line?
Hmm?
Who's on the line?
2 people. It's 5 right now. Only 10 or 12 earlier. Anthony's on. Mr. Bad Rabbit. Ryan Abrahamson just showed up.
How crazy is this weird?
Really good. Really good.
He said to store it upside down because the lactose or whatever that is, settles. So that when you flip it once to open it, it'll disseminate.
Nice. Really good.
Tastes just like the key lime pie.
It does, yeah.
Really
good. Nervous about adding characters. Yeah, I mean, that's the issue, right? You add more faces, and then all of a sudden you have to write more people. And they take up more screen time, more page time. Name the bonsai Miyagi. Well, Ryan says, name the bonsai Miyagi.
Yeah, Lauren made that joke. That's
Yeah.
funny. That's funny.
I mean, Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid. Right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Um,
Lame.
it's a monster.
I don't know if you ever named the monster.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. Stay Puft.
Stay Puft.
It's a
Stay Puft the monster.
monster delicioso.
Oh.
So I thought, what's a delicious monster? And it was the Stay Puft. What did you do with that food?
A delicious monster.
Eyeball? Yeah, eyeball. Maybe. Pizza? Pizza?
Pizza. Yeah, that's good. Pizza the bonsai. Because it's limited. My name is Doug. Hmm? Somebody said when they don't know how to name something, they call it Bob. My name is Doug. Bob the bonsai.
I feel like it would be, I'd have to give it a full name. Bob would also be famous. So it would be like Robert.
Robert Pizza Philbrook. You could get 2 and call one Neil and the other one Bob. Call it the Head Trees. It's a blowjob joke. Bye. I sent her away. Flying Spaghetti Monster. So my name is Doug Anthony, and I use it when I'm a DM and I'm running role-playing games. Because if someone's not important and I don't want them to become important, I just call them Doug. And the people that I game with know that, like, all right, this guy's, not worth investing any time in. But if I give him a name, then it's like, all right, this person's someone we should pay attention to. And when I'm joking, like, I forget his name, it's probably Doug. Like, just my thing. Never make eye contact when you're eating a pretzel stick. Anyway. Hodor. Could probably ask the kids and they'll call it tree tomorrow. Anyway, now that I have beer and food and my wife's home, I'm going to go. Because it's better than this. I love you all, but it's Friday. I have beer. So yeah, if you missed the beginning of it and you want to get filled in on pretty much everything that's going on, wait till it gets reposted, rewatch it. Wasn't enough eye contact. Pink eye. And then I'll post stuff. And tomorrow I set up at the show in Nashua, and then I'm there Saturday and Sunday. It's at the Sheraton, right on the border. It's like literally right on the border with Massachusetts, and it looks like a castle. It's a really cool hotel. And I think tickets are like $20. So if you're in the area and you want to come, I'd love to see you. And if you're not in the area but you want to spread the word, find one of my posts and share it. That would be really cool. Sharing stuff is great. Oh, the other thing I was talking about is I have a bunch of my ebooks on sale right now. I've got like all of my book ones for free on the Kindle. So if you're holding out to get any of them, now would be a great time. You just get it for free. And if you want to tell people to go download it on the Kindle for free, that would be great too, because it's like the best advertising I can get. So much love to everybody. Thanks for stopping in. If you have any questions, just reach out. I'm here. It may take me a couple days to get to you, but I am here. So talk to you.